Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Italian Football Podcast, the official podcast of Football Italia. I'm Carlo Garganese, joined as always by Nima. On today's show, we will review the weekend Serie A action. Milan blow the chance to reopen the Scudetto race with a dismal defeat to Lazio on Sunday evening. That came after Inter drew with Atalanta in another controversial refereeing display, but that means that Inter are now 8 points clear of Roma. They extend of Milan rather, and they extend their lead at the top of the Serie A table. So any chance of the Scudetto race being reopened, I think we can now say has been shut. Napoli, though, are chasing Milan down. They have 3 wins in a row after their latest victory. Como are now the new favourites to finish fourth after a massive 2-1 comeback win against Roma, who have really thrown it away in the battle for fourth race. But Juventus are now the most likely team to challenge Como. They got a precious win at Udinese with Jeremy Boga, the hero again. We'll preview Atalanta versus Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Not that there's really any point. And we will also answer a question which has been asked by a lot of our listeners and by many people in general. And that is whether Italy could be actually potentially in line to replace Iran at the World Cup if Italy don't make it through by their own means next week. So we'll answer that and give you kind of like the rules and the laws and what is likely or unlikely to happen. We'll also have our usual Baggio, Premface and Serie ASS of the week. If you want to support the Italian Football Podcast and receive all of our content that we do throughout the week, including our free Monday review show, our weekly Q&A episode, plus the Thursday midweek review show, plus interviews, post-match reaction, and much more, then go to patreon.com/TIFP, become a subscriber for just $3.99 a month, and you can watch our free episodes and shorter clips on YouTube, and you can become a patron on YouTube memberships, youtube.com/@itafootpod. You can also sign up to be a paid subscriber on Spotify. So wherever you consume us, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, we'd really appreciate if you follow us, subscribe to us, like us, give us a 5-star rating, as all of that really helps us to grow. And if you've not already done so, do follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and now, well, also on TikTok as well. Okay, let's get into today's show. So let's start off with Milan. They blow a massive chance to legitimately reopen the Scudetto race. They had the chance to reduce the lead of Inter to 5 points after Inter had drawn with Atalanta, but they blow it. They completely blow it. They played a bad game, really. Only really the last 20 minutes when they rallied, as they usually do. It's kind of been a familiar pattern this season with Milan, that they start slow and then they rally late on, and it often hasn't been enough. And it wasn't enough here. They laid siege in the last 20 minutes and probably on balance deserved to draw out this game. But for much of this game, and especially I thought in the first half, they were terrible in the first half, defended terribly in the first half, probably should have been more than a goal behind at half time. And I think Allegri, surprisingly for Allegri, because this isn't what you expect from Allegri generally. Milan, so naive tactically in the first half. The way that they kept getting done on the ball over the top with a high line, the ball in behind, on the counter-attack, on the transitions, the amount of space that Lazio had. And they obviously scored the first goal that way, and Maldini missed a one-on-one, could have got a second goal. Lazio hit the woodwork twice. The first half performance was really awful from Milan, and especially on Allegri, I say. Tactically, Sarri outclassed him certainly in that first half.
He did, and I want to talk about Sarri later on. I want to talk about Lazio, but I do think that this was a very, very interesting game from a tactical point of view, but also from a personal point of view. And I think that's why Milan have not been able to fully, and I think they've been overperforming this season, and they've not been able to fully make this into a title race, a real title race. because they're not there yet. The quality isn't there up to par just yet. They have players who are either kind of growing into that role or simply not good enough. I don't know how to define Estupinian, but he's very he's very inconsistent. He decides the derby has a great game. In this game, he misses a very good chance, and then he's dreadful for the goal, which ends up to be the winner. This kind of inconsistency from your players, if they're supposed to be starting players, you can't really have that if you're going to be in a title race. Even in a Serie A that is obviously as weak as it is. This season overall, the Serie A is not very good. I don't think qualitatively as a whole, generally compared to the Serie A, as well as Serie A compared with the other leagues. I think it's rather clear that overall it's not a very good Serie A season qualitatively. But even so, Milan don't have that quality, don't have that maturity. They're not there yet. I agree with what Allegri said. I don't think it's just him being Allegri and trolling people when he says that, look, we're not in the title race. Our goal is to finish in the top four. I think that is a very, very honest assessment. And that's kind of where I have them. I think they will finish in the top four. But they're not there yet. I think Yashari shows that he's an incredibly interesting player. They have players who really have lots of margins to improve, as they say in Italy, but they also have players that leave a lot to be desired, that aren't good enough, and they have players who I have a question mark next to their names, like Estupinan.
Estupinan really can't defend. Certainly can't defend his box, that's for sure. When he has to really defend, he's all right like in open spaces because he's got that pace and his physical capabilities. But I thought all of Milan's defenders were bad. I thought that De Winter, I don't think he's really the level. I know he's done better recently, but I'm surprised how all the big clubs were kind of after him. Inter wanted him, nearly signed him. Juventus were interested potentially in bringing him back. And then Milan were the ones that got him. And, I don't think he's been a particularly great signing. That's even with Allegri, who is generally good with defenders. He was getting out of strength yesterday. And I thought Milan struggled really badly defensively in this game. But it's not just the defense. We've seen the attack. The lack of, like, when they were laying siege in that last 20 minutes, you thought they have to score. But then if you actually look at how many clear-cut chances they created in this game, and even in that, I think their XG was about 1.19, which is not particularly great, to be honest with you, especially when you watch those last 20 minutes where you just think they have to score here. It's coming. But they lack that top number 9. We know that. I'm sure they will address that in the summer. Füllkrug, if you're talking about the league being on a downer, I mean, Füllkrug really sums that up. Signing a West Ham striker with 0 goals all season, who's been a total flop for 2 seasons, and bringing him in. And we're kind of expecting him to, he's the right kind of striker. So therefore, it might work out. I mean, it's not good. It's not good optics, I think, for Milan or for the league. And obviously it's worked out how it's worked out. And he hasn't been good enough. But I also have to blame Allegri as well, because we're also following a similar pattern with the attack as we've seen in the last several years, and that is Allegri struggling again with Milan. And we can't say there isn't quality in attack with Rafael Leao, with Pulisic, and Kunku's got quality, whether he's fulfilled it in recent years or not. There is quality in that attack. And again, Leao, what has happened to Rafael Leao? I mean, he was atrocious in this game. He gets subbed off. He then has this kind of mini argument on the touchline with Allegri, and Allegri tried to diffuse it. And Was he unhappy with Allegri? Was he unhappy with Pulisic because Pulisic didn't give him a pass before? I mean, that wasn't good to see. But I can't blame Allegri for taking him off because he was awful in this game, and it kind of sums up what we've seen of Allegri of Rafael Leao in the last, well, most of this season. To be honest, after we thought when he first came into the team that maybe we were going to see the best of him, but he's been such a huge disappointment. And we're not even seeing him he's always been inconsistent throughout his career, but he's always had these really high highs or these great moments. And you've always felt if you just give him the ball in the right area with open space, he'll beat his man, he'll do something. He's got those electric qualities where we're not even seeing that in the last months. He's no longer going past his man. Maybe he's carrying an injury. I know there's been talk of that. But I don't know what's happened to Rafael Leao because we're not even seeing those physical qualities of Rafael Leao. And so it's a big, I don't know who to blame. I think you have to blame a bit of everyone. I think you have to blame Leao, but I'm sorry, you have to blame Allegri as well because it's following the same pattern that he can't get the best out of his attackers. He doesn't put his attackers, because he doesn't have those, here we go, patterns of play. He doesn't always get the best. He can't get the best out of attackers because they're not put in the environment to succeed. And I think that's also a case with Leao this season. He's not playing in a formation, of course, that suits him. We know he prefers to be out wide. They're playing more of a two-man attack. And, again, that's a criticism of Leao also not being able to adapt to other systems. But also, again, by extension, look at Pulisic. This guy has completely collapsed as well in the last, I don't think he scored in 20. I don't think he scored a goal in 2026. He's completely he's disappeared like a certain leader of Israel. He's disappeared. Where is he? What's happened to him? And he hasn't even made a fake AI video to show that he's still around. Like, what has happened to him? So we're between Leao and Pulisic, very disappointing because I'm sorry, if a Leao and Pulisic playing as they have been or in recent years, I think they get at least a draw out of this game, at least a draw. So,
I agree with you on most of that. I'm starting
video,
I'm starting to reach a point with Leao where I wonder if he just doesn't work in any system. And what I mean by that is he a player that he doesn't really suit the modern game? He's a player who lives off of inspiration, off of creative freedom, off of, the way that attacking players maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago used to thrive, when he's allowed to have creativity, when he's allowed to do what he wants, and he's allowed to be spontaneous. I don't think he works in the system. I was thinking, well, maybe Conte, he needs Conte to kind of rigidly control him and put him in specific patterns. But I'm not even sure that works. I wonder if he's one of those players who've become a victim of the modern game because it's so rigidly system-based and controlled, and spontaneity, creativity, that kind of, rabbit out of a hat qualities. He doesn't, that doesn't. It's not a game that rewards those qualities.
Maybe, but he was doing that stuff, wasn't he? Even up until last season. Yes, he was inconsistent. Yes, it wasn't happening as often as it needed to be if Milan were going to, be a consistently top team. But he still had those moments, didn't he? We're not seeing that. We're not seeing that anymore. I have to say it. Do you remember I went to watch the pre-season? I went to watch Milan against Chelsea. Milan got hammered 4-1, although the game was conditioned by a ridiculous red card like in the first 5 minutes. But Leao played as a centre forward, almost as a kind of in a lone striker role. And he really impressed me with some of his back to goal play. And we also saw a bit of that maybe at the start of the season after he came back from his injury. And I thought, well, maybe, and I didn't expect this to happen. I didn't think he had it in him. I thought, well, maybe Leao can develop that side of his game and play as a centre forward. Because I've never thought Leao, up until coming into this season, I never thought Leao had the attributes to play as a centre forward. I didn't. I didn't think he had it. I thought he has to play on the wing. That's it.
Yeah.
He has, and then I saw that and I thought, well, maybe we'll see. And then as the season's gone on, instead of developing that early promise, he's gone completely backwards. So he's gone backwards in a tactical sense, but also we're not even seeing any of the what we used to see before. Maybe it's partly what you said. Maybe it's partly also that he's playing in a centre forward role, even if it's in a front two, and he just can't play that role. He doesn't like it. He doesn't get into the positions to be able to utilize his qualities. But also, I have to push back and I have to say that, yes, while you're right, in general, modern football doesn't reward these kind of players. I don't think Allegri fits into that category. Allegri actually, due to his lack of patterns of play, actually gives his attackers full freedom to just do it themselves. And that's why I thought that actually Allegri might benefit Leao. And also the fact that they play deep defense and they transition and counter-attack. That actually suits Rafael Leao's style of game. He actually, in the past, he's suffered when Milan have dominated possession and territory and teams have been camped and they've had to break them down and there's been no space in behind. He hasn't been able to go past his man because there's no space. That's where he struggled in the past. So actually, in some ways, Allegri's actually style of football should actually suit Leao, and he still hasn't done it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a mixture of everything. And I think he's frustrated. You can see the frustration. He knows it's not happening for him. It's not working. And we saw that with his reaction for the substitution.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's fair. That's a fair assessment. It's a strange one. It's an interesting one, and it's like, watch this space, because I think we'll definitely have to come back to this, because the broader point I'm seeing now amongst many Milan fans and journalists is maybe it's time to move away from Rafael Leao. But the question again is, how much money are you going to get for him? Who can you get instead? What do you do? It's an interesting discussion.
And who's interested in him now? Like, I don't see. I've said this recently before. I don't see any of the big teams wanting to sign him anymore. Whilst before, last year or the year before that, I think that while there was always these question marks about how does, like you said, how does Leao fit into a modern team, especially given his defensive side of his game as well. Now I don't see any of the big superpowers around Europe going for him. I don't see.
I mean, he's the kind of player. I mean, where he is right now, I think he's the kind of a player that a PSG can afford or a Bayern Munich can afford as a luxury player, to come in and be decisive, and it doesn't really matter because the amount of quality they have, they can kind of just throw him in there and whatever, But I don't see him starting for any of the big teams. No, not right now.
There you go. Yeah. So but yeah, I think that I said it. I think Napoli. I said it. I think Napoli will take Milan. I said it a few weeks ago, and
you did, and you're right. I think there's a big chance of that. I think Milan need to. I think Allegri is right. I think Milan need to focus on top four.
They'll be fine. I mean, they've got a big lead. They've got 8 points over Com or 9 over Juve. Yeah. They'll be fine. There's only 9 games left. They'll be fine. But as for the Scudetto race, I never. Even after Inter drop points, I never realistically thought there was a title race. But at the same time, I would say I think it's a shame for the Serie A, because yes, the Serie A isn't it, but it would be good for the last few weeks of the season if it had got down to 5 points. It would have added some excitement. It would have kept things going. And now it's just it's just a bit of a, obviously for Inter fans it's great, but for Serie A fans and neutrals, it's just a bit of a taken all the air out of out of the league, and it's made it more about the top 4 race, which will be exciting. We'll get to in a minute. But Lazio, we have to give credit to Lazio because I thought first off, I thought they were outstanding. I thought Sarri really got the better out of Allegri tactically. They deservedly were leading at half time. They could have made it 2, could have been 2 up. I thought there was a few really great individual performances. Isaacson, first of all, scored the goal. Caused a lot of problems for Estupiñán, as we said. Estupiñán couldn't handle him. But I thought there was a clear man of the match, and that was Mario Gila. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Outstanding. Thought his read of the game, some of his tackles, last gasp tackles, Also, I like his mentality. He's got a winning mentality. I like his spirit. And I think his contract is out next year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's worthy of a bigger club, and I would expect him to move to a bigger club this summer.
It is. I think he will. I think he will leave this summer. His contract expires in June 27. No, there's no discussion. I think he is definitely ready for a bigger club, for a bigger environment, to challenge for more important trophies. I think he again turns up in every big game, pretty much, and just shows what a commanding centre back he is, both defensively and offensively, and what a leader he is. I thought he was brilliant. For me, he was the man of the match as well. I thought he was simply outstanding.
Yeah, I thought Patrick was good next to him, given he's barely played. And
he was really good in midfield. Like that regista role, he was really good. But again, for me, the star of the show is Maurizio Sarri. I mean, like, so disrespected, so underappreciated, underestimated. What a coach he is. What a coach he is. I mean, I don't care that he's a cranky old man who chain smokes and has a terminology that belongs maybe in the 1920s. Like, it's like the way he speaks is like listening to your granddad get angry. But I don't care. I don't care. The football he plays is anything but archaic. The tactical setups that he manages to set up, the manner in which he has the players switched on mentally, tactically, just the way he reads games, his changes, his in-game management. He is a fantastic coach. I mean, just look at what he keeps doing year in, year out. What a coach he is. And I have to say, if Inter want to move to a back four and play a 4-3-3, just bring Maurizio Sarri. Just bring him in and let him do his job, because the movements he created, especially the solutions he comes up with a limited budget, with limitations on what's out there. He's done it so many times, time and time again, where he literally gets players to improve. He really does know, from Empoli to Napoli to even Chelsea and Juve. He knows how to, as we say, cook soup on the head of a nail, as we say in Sweden. He knows how to make things work with a tight, because he's such a skilled coach. I mean, it's just wonderful to watch these Sarri triangles, man. Like, I just enjoy them. I just watch the movement, the ideas, the way that all 11 players know what to do, and the way the ball goes on a string between them in both phases as well, knowing when to drop. I mean, he's so good.
Yeah, he's underrated. So he's been underrated in his career defensively as well. That's where I think he actually is underrated, because his defenses have been better than often given credit for.
Like, why? Like, if we're talking about the Italy national team, I mean, why is Sarri not there? He would do 100 times a better job than Gattuso or even Spalletti did. There's no doubt about that. And again, he's not. But the thing is, I know that in Italy, perception matters almost as much as the cover of the book matters almost as much as what's inside the book. But sorry, but screw that, f that. Like, the man is so good. He's so sound. He's so skilled.
Well, we'll see. He might even be in line for that after the end of this season, depending on how things go. We'll see. But yeah, just two other shout outs. I thought, well, three. Tavares, I thought, was really good on the left. Good to see him coming back towards some of his form from last season. I thought Motta, the goalkeeper, was really good as well.
Yeah,
very good and commanding, outstanding. And also, I would actually say that obviously this season's been a disaster from a transfer point of view, because they weren't allowed to make transfers last summer. Then they brought some in, and Sarri didn't seem to know barely any of the signings they'd made, and complained about it. But I actually think Kenneth Taylor has actually been a really good signing. He was really good in this game. I actually think he's the one signing that has kind of been worthy. So he's good. So yeah, something for Lazio fans to celebrate. They boycotted the last, I think, 4 games before this one. So and they were really the way
No,
that
the
they've cheered their team.
the atmosphere at the Stadio Olimpico is one of those things where, regardless of if it's Roma and Lazio, if the two fan bases who, when they're in the mood, they create an unbelievable, unique atmosphere. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to Inter Atalanta now. As we said, look, as a Scudetto race, Inter actually end up extending their lead to 8 points. So the game itself, I mean, let's just talk about the refereeing, because that's really what there is to talk about. We've seen once again here, we've seen another controversy, but another bad call from the referee on the Fratesi penalty. The way I see it is there's clear contact from Scalvini. Fratesi gets to the ball first. Scalvini kicks Fratesi's foot. The contact is not the hardest contact, as I think Morelli said. And my rules, my perception on penalties is that I don't like. I want penalties to be real penalties, but based on what gets given as a penalty, this is 100% a penalty in Serie A. I can't believe that.
Well, the Italian referee, the Italian Referees Association said it after the game as well, that this is a penalty. Look, there's three things to discuss here. If you want to talk about the Dumfries and the equalizer, that's a 50-50. You don't want to give it. Okay, fine. I don't agree with it, but I can live with it. If you want to argue that the Fratesi call is not a penalty based on blah, 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 fine, don't give that. But how in Zeus's anal cavity, 3 seconds later, when Ederson judo throws Denzel Dumfries how is that not a penalty? Like, what are you talking about? The first two, I'll give a pass. The third one, which is seconds later after the Fratesi incident, you win gold medal in the Olympics in judo when you do that. I've never what? It's that is what drove me insane. Like, that is just wow. It's an absurd call. But again, look, the reason Inter didn't win this game and drop 2 points is not because of that. I don't want to blame that. I think we have to be able to keep three separate thoughts in our head simultaneously, and these three thoughts aren't mutually exclusive. The penalty situations, done. We don't need to talk about that. I just go and watch what Ederson did to Dumfries. I mean, if that's not a penalty,
can I just come back? I think that the real, if we want to call it a scandal, to use that word, is the penalty the Fratesi one. I think is the one, because based on the law, based on what
application
of the law. I'm sorry, we can argue whether we think it should be a penalty or not. You know my opinion on penalties. I think they're too cheaply given. That's a penalty, 100%, 100 times out of 100. I mean, I disagree with you. I don't think you can say it could or it could. It's a penalty.
No, I'm saying for the sake of argument, even if you don't give that.
Yeah. I think it's
Ederson is just.
I'm not sure I agree with you so much on the Ederson one. Maybe I need to watch it again. But on the other Fratesi one, I mean, that's a penalty. I'm not sure I agree.
Just watch the Ederson thing. Like, I watched that 3 times and my brain just like melted when I saw that. I thought I was having an aneurysm, because he was like, how? What? Were they drunk? Like, what was going on? It's weird. But the second thing I wanted to
I'm watching it now. I mean, they're both tussling for the ball. Ederson is goal side, so I don't know.
He throws him over. I mean, that is just like, if we allow that in the penalty area, I don't know. But the second thing I wanted to say, this is not why Inter dropped 2 points, and I want to make that absolutely clear. This is not why Inter dropped 2 points. Inter dropped 2 points because Christian Chivu shat himself on the sidelines in the second half completely. The changes, the in-game management, he looked like a scared child. And that kind of nervousness rubbed off completely on the team. And the manner in which Inter became deeper, passive, weren't pressing, weren't pushing, became lackadaisical, became just like lulled into a sense of false security, that is all on him. That is just not another important situation where he doesn't get it right. And he's lucky that Milan didn't win, that Milan lost yesterday, because 5 points instead of 8, you have a Scudetto race on your hand. And I don't know, given where Inter are, because Inter are out of form. And that's fine. That happens to all teams. They're not in form. They haven't been for a couple of weeks. The lack, given where Thuram and Barella are this season, where the injury situation with Çalhanoğlu, they miss Lautaro. Lautaro is fundamental for Inter, and they need him. So that would have been. I wonder if Inter wouldn't have choked massively if Milan win yesterday. But be that as it may, the final situation is, and this is where I, again, irrespective of the other two, these calls, this situation we saw, don't happen in a vacuum. You do not. This is why I was against Inter, Marotta, Chivu, and Bastoni apologizing. You don't apologize. You never apologize in Italian football. In Italian football, due to the internal politics of Italian football, when you apologize, when you try to be the bigger man, this is then interpreted as weakness, and the system tries to heal itself by balancing things out. It was a stupid thing by Inter to try to be the bigger man and apologize for everything that happened, and the moralism and fake pearl clutching that happened after the Bastoni situation. It was dumb as hell. And now we're seeing the effects of that. And Marotta needs to wake up and understand that he's not just he's not a director at Inter. He's the president of Inter. He needs to stop trying to be Mr. Diplomat. He doesn't need to go full Massimo Moratti, but he can't just continue going Mr. Diplomat. I want to, no, I don't want to do this. This can't continue, because it's harming Inter now. Last season, when Inzaghi came out and was pissed, he threw Inzaghi under the bus. Now they decided to take the high moral high ground, and this thing happened again. He needs to be much more clear. Inter need to be much better in their communication. Much better. These things don't happen in a vacuum. It's dumb, and it's costing Inter. They have to look out for their own. I don't like it, but it's the reality. Italian football politics works like this. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that I don't think that Inter did anything wrong in the way that they reacted.
They showed weakness. They showed weakness, Carlo. This is weakness. Nobody ever apologizes in Italian football.
I don't think it was a real full-out apology. It was more kind of like, well, maybe, or Bastoni was like more.
Chivu said.
Well, I remember Chivu after the game. Chivu saying that.
Chivu apologized to Kalulu. Marotta came out and gave a press conference.
Chivu didn't apologize to him straight after the game. After the game, he did.
In an interview with not immediately after the game, but a day afterwards, going into the Champions League game, he apologized. He said, if Kalulu was offended, I'm sorry. Like, again, like, no.
I don't know. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying about balancing things, but I think that was going to happen. Generally, that happens anyway, whether you apologize or not, because it was such a massive incident and everybody was up in arms, and even the referee association, I think, apologized. So as a result, I think that would have happened anyway. I actually thought Inter. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But at the end of the day, it hasn't cost Inter, because they've extended.
Well, it has. They were lucky that it didn't cost them, but this is not the first time they do this. Again, I'm not defending the internal politics. I'm just saying that this is how it works. And if you do this, you show yourself weak. And it's not the first time it's happened. It's happened continuously throughout Marotta's tenure since he became president. And this has become a problem. And I'm not the only one talking about this. There are many, many people in Italy, including Inter journalists, who are saying the club needs to wake up to the reality they're in. And that is just, that's That's just how it is. They have to be much more resolute, clear, and defend Inter's interest in a much more clear way. They just have to. Marotta needs to understand he's no longer the CEO. He's no longer just a director. He's the president of Inter. And he needs to start acting like the president of Inter 100%, not 90%.
Okay. I mean, Atalanta will come on to the Bayern game in a bit, or we won't really spend much time talking about it. But, I mean, I guess it's a good response to that embarrassment. It was an embarrassment. They humiliated all of Italian football. And so, you know, Palladino, I thought Palladino's words after the game were pathetic, saying that I would play that game exactly the same way again, going man for man against Bayern Munich. I mean, just this insanity. And then saying that we'll learn from it. Who's going to learn from it? A 32-year-old Kolasinac, a 34-year-old De Rome. You didn't even play your younger players. So what are they going to learn from it? You know, what? The older player's going to learn from it. What? Is De Rome going to learn from it for when he's 37 playing? I mean, like, what is this nonsense? I mean, so anyway.
I think he handled this game really well, though. I think the way that he prepared Atalanta, the way that he reacted, the in-coaching, the substitutions, the read of the game is really, really good. But you know, he's a young coach. It takes time for him to learn.
Yeah, that's fair. But also, I think from a bigger picture point of view, it's also a little bit damning on Serie A. Like, Inter are going to win the Scudetto. That's been obvious for a long time. But it's a bit damning that the team that are, you know, 8 points clear of the Serie A, you know, draw one. I know it's only one game, and I know this might be a bit simplistic, but we just saw a few days before, we saw Bayern Munich absolutely batter away Atalanta 6-1. And it could have been 12. They took their foot off the gas as well. They chilled at the end. And here we go. Inter are in bad form. Okay, Inter...
they are. They're out of form.
They're out of form. They're a bit tired. So I know that needs to be taken into account as well. But I guess the point I'm making is what you were saying. You could see the gap. You could see the difference here between the top team in Serie A and one of Europe's best teams. And there's a huge gulf there. And I think this game also kind of illustrated that as well.
100%. And I think Bayern Munich are probably going to win the Champions League. And I'm glad that they are, because Patrick Kendrick has been pointing out to me privately that I've been picking them for the Champions League for 3 years. And he's saying, well, sooner or later, you're bound to get in.
I think longer than that. I think you tip them every single season.
But they are good. They are really, really good. They're a fantastic side. I really think so. I think the quality is there. I just feel they've not been able to express that.
Oh, they're expressing it this season, that's for sure. Right, Napoli. Napoli turn it around, 2-1. They were losing 1-0 to Lecce. And it was Politano who was the catalyst in this game. An assist and a goal. The assist for Hojlund. Hojlund continues to confirm his improvement under Antonio Conte. He's really turned into a great striker. Not so great with puns, though, as... You may have seen his. What was it at the end of the game? What did he post?
Lecce us entertain you, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. Laugh. But Politano was really good in this game. Showed a lot of energy. I thought he was starting to kind of decline, but he's maybe the kind of the rest that he's had this season through injury and through being out of the team. Maybe now he's fresher going into the final game season, and maybe. He deserves a call-up now for Italy going into...
Look, the leadership he shows, and it has shown for quite some time via the sacrifices that he does for the team, is why we're even having this conversation. And he does it, you know, let's remember that this is a player who both Spalletti and Conte at Inter didn't want to work with. Well, now he's won a Scudetto both under Spalletti and Conte at Napoli because he's matured. He's adapted, even though he's not the ideal Spalletti and Conte player. He's adapted, he's matured, and he sacrifices himself for the better of the team. And now he's a leader at Napoli. He really, really, really sweats, puts in a shift every single time he goes in, he plays for Napoli, and that is a good sign for Napoli. It's nice to see Napoli in the sense that things have kind of calmed down and landed a little bit. They're kind of building some sort of momentum again, and things, the crisis talk is over. There's not much, chaos around the club. Conte's calmed down. Everyone is kind of calmed down a little bit, and they're kind of cruising towards second spot. If we're
they've won 3 games in a sorry, not 3. They've won 3 games in a row. No, sorry, I'm joking. Sorry, I won't make any more jokes about that. They won 3 games. They won 3 games in a row. No, they won. Sorry.
You and Hamza.
I can't stop laughing.
Conspiracy theories and AI.
Let me just go get my cup of coffee that's spilled to the brim and doesn't spill even when I pour it upside down. I'll stop. They've won 3 games. I still don't think they're playing particularly well. They're not playing well. Even in this game, they weren't particularly great. And if you look at the chances of both teams, and even the XG was level, 1.29, 1.28. So they're not playing great, but they're playing once a week. They're doing what Antonio Conte teams do. And they're doing what Antonio Conte teams do. And they've got to look. I think they will do Milan, because I'm looking.
I think so as well.
Just compare the fixture lists of the 2 teams. Napoli's is far easier, and they're getting their injured players back now. Anguissa started. Tomine came on. The players are coming back, and there is one big issue they need to sort out for next season if they want to get back and challenge for the title, because I think they can win the title next season. But if they need to sort their defense out, because their defense again in this game, another goal conceded, it could have been 2-0 as well, and they're just not defending well. Not just individually. Not only is, I think there's a problem of maybe personnel there. They need to make some signings. I think 1 centre back, at least 1 full back as well. There is an issue individually there, but also as a unit. One of the most un-Conte-like defenses I've seen this season in his career. Like, they're just not defending as a team and as a unit at all, which is very, very surprising. They've gone 11 games now without a clean sheet. Now,
that's very un-Conte.
That's what I was going to say. Without looking at his entire career, I'd be surprised if they've ever done that. If ever in the history of Antonio Conte, one of his teams have ever gone more than 10 games without a clean sheet. So, yeah, they have to sort that out for next season.
And I'm happy that he's confirmed that he's staying. I think it's good for Napoli. I think it's good for him. I'm glad that he's kind of, if he ends up staying, that he's lost this kind of reactive, throw the toys out the pram kind of thing, in the sense that he stays and he doesn't flip out and stay at Napoli. It's good for you to stay at Napoli. It's good for Napoli if you stay there. Now with Rasmus Hojlund being as good as he is, and you've been able to turn him into, there's lots of positive signs. There is work to be done. I wonder, even if De Bruyne comes back, if De Bruyne and Lukaku, it's time to kind of part ways with them. Learn Arabic, boys. That's all I'm going to say. It's time to learn your Arabic, both to Lukaku and De Bruyne. I don't think they're worth the money that Napoli are paying them. I think they're past their best, and I think it's time for Napoli to kind of save money that way. Bring in a backup striker that works. David Neres will, when he's fully fit, they can play that 3-4-2-1, and I think that's the way forward for them. A 3-4-2-1. Buy players to that system, make it more a typical Conte system, and kind of consolidate around the basis and the fundamentals that are there and is very, very good. Well, let's move on to the top 4 race, because this is where there is actually some excitement left in the Serie A, and that is, Como. Now I think we have to call Como the favourites for 4th place. And I want to give you props for that. You were the only one who spoke about this at the beginning of the season, that you're not saying they're going to get it, but you think they could very much get top 4. And I think Juve, I still don't want to count out Juve, but I'm inclined to agree with you. I think they look like they could get top four.
Yeah, I think it's out of Como and Juventus now. We'll come to Roma in a second, but first of all, look, this is a massive win for Como. They're again, it was a deserved win. We have to say that. Sorry to make it just about stats, but this will just illustrate the point that Como were the much better team in this game. And look at these numbers: 22 shots to 3, 66% possession, 7 corners to 1, but a 2.22 non-penalty XG to 0.06. I didn't realize it was that bad for Roma. So you take away the penalty that Roma scored, they only created 0.06 in this game. So that illustrates their dominance in this game. And you know, when it comes to the kind of why they're the I would make them slight favourites over Juventus. Like, I don't think there's that much between them. But the reason why is they're the most in form out of the teams going for the top four. They've won 4 in a row. They're playing really well. They really are. They're the most consistent out of the teams that are chasing for the top 4. They have a better head-to-head than Juventus and Roma. What was the score in the first game between Roma and Como earlier in the season? Can you remember?
1-0 to Roma.
Oh, Roma won, did they? Did Roma win that first game?
Yeah.
Okay, well then they've got the same then, haven't they? They've got an equal head-to-head, but they've got a better head-to-head than Juventus. So, you know, if they finish level on points, then Como will be ahead. And they have, in my opinion, the listeners and viewers can go and look for themselves. I think they have the best fixture.
I'm looking at it now. They have a very good fixture list.
Yeah.
They have Pisa, Udinese, Sassuolo, Genoa, Verona, Parma, Cremonese, and Inter and Napoli. But like,
there you go. There's 7 games there that you're expecting them to win, and a lot of those are at home as well.
Yeah.
And also the Inter game, is that away or is that at home? The Inter and
the Inter in the Coppa Italia, in the Serie A it's at home, but in the Coppa Italia it's away.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So in the Serie A, they're tough matches that they have remaining,
and they've got Napoli at home.
That's what I was going to say. So their only 2 tough remaining games
are at home.
Whereas Juventus, their 2 tough remaining games are away at Milan and away at Atalanta. So there's no doubt about it that Como have the better fixture list. And I mean, ironically, Como have actually struggled a bit more against the smaller teams because they've struggled against teams that have sat back and they've had to break them down. But yeah, I mean, they're doing great. I thought Jesus Rodriguez was absolutely outstanding off the bench. He really did change the game. He took Como away from Roma. The way that he beats his man. So he's somebody I'm excited to watch next season. He's still young, still developing, but the way that he goes past his man creates trouble all the time. He was excellent. Como, listen, whether you like them or not, they're doing. And Fabregas is a top coach. Whether you like him or not,
he is 100%.
He's doing fantastic. 100%. He's doing fantastic things. And
he is. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. And what I like to see is that he's become a little bit more pragmatic. Allegri gas, as I call him now. I mean, he's kind of becoming this kind of pragmatic player, a pragmatic coach that wants to, understands that results are important. I think when a coach does that, because the fundamentals he does really well, and if he can apply that, understand that sometimes you have to be a little bit more pragmatic and results based as well when need be. World class, the trajectory is world class. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens in that second leg of the Coppa Italia. I'm not usually one for the Coppa Italia. It's a competition that.
Yeah, I'm worried for Inter there. I'm worried for Inter.
The form of the 2 teams, I think. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be an exciting.
I wouldn't be surprised if Como go on and win the Coppa Italia at this point.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, we're talking about they are ahead of schedule in their plans.
There's
no doubt about
they
it.
Absolutely are.
To be in their second season in Serie A and to be doing this is impressive. Okay, they've spent their fortune. How sustainable it is with FFP, given organic wealth, organic revenue they're going to be bringing in. that is obviously going to be a problem once they're in Europe. But yeah, well done to them. Roma, though. Roma's on the flip side. I'm just going to highlight and hammer home what I said last week. That Juventus collapse, it's really astonishing how quickly things can change in football. Because when they were 3-1 up against Juventus with 10 minutes or so to go, or actually, let's fast forward a little bit and say when they were 3-2 up with seconds to go in that game at the Olimpico against Juventus, they were absolutely cruising in the top 4 race. They were they were seconds away from going +7 on Juventus, seconds away from being +5 on Como. Now, after that Gatti equaliser in injury time, just over 180 minutes later, and they are now -3 from Como and -2 from Juventus, and they are 4 games without a win in all competitions. So
I hope,
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But I hope. I think now, given the fixture list left with the derby and the penultimate on the penultimate day of the season, Atalanta, Inter, I think Roma would be wise to focus completely on the Europa League. They have the first leg ended 1-1. They're playing Bologna at home, and I think Roma have the quality to go far in the Europa League. I think they can win it. They're not the favorites, but they can win it. And if they were and finished outside of the top 4, then they get a champion. Then Italy.
And if they win it, there could be 5 teams in the Champions League. I mean, from Serie A. Sorry, it was too much of an opportunity there. Right, but they could be. We could have an extra team. We ain't going to get one from the coefficient.
No,
that's for sure.
No.
That's for sure.
No, I hope Roma does, and I think Roma, given where Roma have been these past couple of seasons and the final, the way that played out under Mourinho against Sevilla, it would be nice if Roma won the Europa League, and if they could kind of, continue this positive European pedigree run that they now have with this core of players.
Yeah, listen. I think what's taken the toll a little bit is they don't have the deepest squad. Okay, they made some signings in January, but they don't have the deepest squad. And also, partly as a result of that, injuries and tiredness, I think, have started to take their toll in these last games. They looked very flat and tired in these last 2 defeats against Genoa and in this match. They didn't look good. I mean, no Dybala, no Sule. Again, that obviously, limits you offensively. And Cornet doesn't look fully fit. I know he's been kind of carrying something, so he didn't look right. So I think it's caught up with him a bit now.
Agreed.
Agreed.
And
yeah,
but it's still a very, very good season for Roma. I think they've really
they have to not panic. At the end of the day, they're only 3 points off 4th place. If you'd have said this to them at the start of the season, the middle of March, you're going to be 3 points off 4th place, and you're going to be in with a chance of getting to. Well, they would have snapped your hand up. They just need to don't panic. Just get their injured players back, get back on it, and they've got a good fixture list. They've still got a good fixture list between now and the end of the season, so they're not out of it. It's just incredible. Mentally, it's tough for them, seeing where they were just over 180 minutes ago.
And my brain will never. I don't think I will ever. I don't think we can ever. There's not a more Gasperini stat which breaks my brain as much as them only conceding 23 goals, having the 3rd best defense in the Serie A, but having lost 10 games, and I can't wrap my head around that. How that falls out, because Inter have conceded 23, they've lost 5. I mean, it's just I don't get it.
There has been some bizarre numbers in Serie A that don't really make much sense, including Inter losing however many games they've lost and having that record that they have against the big teams, and yet they're not 8 points clear. It doesn't really make any sense, does it? It
really doesn't.
Kind of strange. But
it is a strange.
As good as Roma's defense has been, I thought they didn't defend well on the goals.
No, they didn't. Svilar made a mistake. They collectively collapsed for one of the goals.
Wesley red card as well. Didn't keep their heads. Yeah. So it's a shame. But Juventus, though, I think now are the most, it seems like it's going to be more out of Como and Juventus. Roma's still there, but it seems like Como and Juventus is the most likely battle now. And Juventus did get a really important win at Udinese. It was a deserved win. They played really well in this game. And again, it kind of, if we're going to talk about numbers, Spalletti, and to hammer home what a good job he's done, since he's taken over at Juventus, Luciano Spalletti or Juventus have the highest expected goals in Serie A, which kind of, again, it shows what a good job he's doing, and it shows that his methods are working. The results haven't always followed. I think Juventus have been really unlucky under Spalletti. They should have many more points than they have based on their performances, based on the refereeing. They've been unlucky with the referees a lot of games. Even in this game, I mean, we have to talk about that second goal that got disallowed for the Conceição goal that got disallowed. Again, I'm going to separate what I think the law should be than what the law should be. Now, my view is quite extreme on offsides. I would go back to the old offside law where anybody that's offside, the flag should go up and there should be, the referee should blow the whistle. Because in my opinion, there's no such thing as not interfering with play. I believe that anybody that's offside is interfering with play in some way, even if he's basically standing on the corner flag, way out of the action. You can make the argument that he's interfering with play because at the very least,
This is your most boomer moment in football. Is when you go full on 1983. Like,
listen, I think that when a player's offside, even if he's inactive, he's still taking the attention of a defender. Defender has to keep an eye on him, or defender has to mark him. And I think that. So that's my opinion on the offside. So that's I'm prefacing it by saying that's my opinion. Now, however, the law is quite simple, and that is, if, as was the case with the Conceição goal, it was Coop minors. If the defender that is offside is not interfering with the goalkeeper's eyesight, is not in line with the goalkeeper, the goal has to stand, and that's exactly what happened. So I find it, again, it didn't matter. Juventus won the game, so there's no harm done. But if we're talking about just this shambles of a season it's been with refereeing, this is another unbelievable call that they actually make the decision to they gave the goal originally, so it was the VAR making the decision. It wasn't one of those where you just stick with the decision, that the referees.
I thought that was wrong too. I think that's wrong. I mean, if the VAR wants him to, I don't know. I thought I didn't understand how they came to that decision. But yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I want to say with that. But listen, the only thing missing from Juventus in this game was the second goal. They didn't kill off the game, and that has been a problem with Juventus under Spalletti, that they haven't killed game. Well, it has been a problem for Juventus for quite a while, actually, even going back to last season. They too many games sticking at one goal ahead, and that you always risk throwing it away. But other than that, can't criticise Juventus. I thought Yildiz was magical in this game. The assist for the Boga goal, the assist for the disallowed Como goal. He got a fantastic pass for Miretti, an easy chance that Miretti should have scored. He still needs more goals in this game, but he was wonderful to watch in this game. Really beautiful player to watch. And Boga, again, just want to say what I've said already. This is the third game in a row that Boga scored. He's been a fantastic January signing. They should keep him. I think they've got an option to buy him for a ridiculously low amount of money. It's stupid money, like 3 million or something like that. He started as a false nine. Or no, he started on the left, but then came into it as a false nine afterwards. There's an argument to make that. Sorry, just to finish. There's an argument to make that after Milan, he's been the best signing of the Serie A in January, in the January market.
I agree with that. And I also want to say that I think that Jeremy Boga might not be what you would call a Juventus quality player, but he's the type of player that Juventus most definitely need playing this system under Spalletti. He just fits the tactics brilliantly. And I think that's why we're seeing him do so well. And I agree with you. If they continue with Spalletti, they have to keep him. If I think those two things are, if Spalletti stays, Boga stays. Like,
yeah,
it just has to.
you wouldn't have thought that Boga, when they signed him, was a Juventus level player.
No.
But the way he's playing, he looks like a Juventus level player. If you don't know who he is and you just watch this guy since January, you would say that is a Juventus level player because he always makes things happen. He beats his man. He creates trouble. He's wonderful on the ball, keeping the ball, linking up with Yildiz and he's got their technical qualities. I like what he's enjoyable to watch as well. He reminds me. Do you remember him at Sassuolo? He was really, really good at Sassuolo. Then he went to Atalanta, and he was a big disappointment at Atalanta. It didn't work out for him there, but this is kind of what we got from him at Sassuolo. So yeah. Anyway, as I said last week, Juventus just got to keep winning. The next two games at Sassuolo and Genoa, they've got to keep winning because then they have the tough run of Atalanta away, Bologna home, Milan away, and I think we will know after those three games who's going to finish fourth. That's what I think.
Agreed.
We'll know after those games because if you look at the end of the seasons for both Juventus and for Como and even Roma, then I think it will be decided after them. So it's a big month or so ahead for Roma, for Juventus, Roma, and for Como. Okay. Let's quickly go through the rest of the fixtures. So Torino 4, Parma 1. That's a massive result for Torino in the top in the relegation race. Hellas Verona 0, Genoa 2. Equally massive win for Genoa. They now have 2 wins in a row. Can I just say Ostigard? Airily, they're a better player in Serie A than Ostigard.
Well, I think it will probably. I think it's one of him or Siebert, the one in Lecce. He's an absolute monster in the air. But yeah, he's very good in the air. His timing, his like how high he gets up, and no, he was really, really good. Genoa were
doing a really good job. Yeah.
Really
Another team that been very unlucky as well with results, referees and stuff, but they're now 33. So they've opened up a nice gap now, 9 points.
No, they're not going down. They're not going down. The
same with Torino, 9 points. Obviously, Cremonese play Fiorentina tonight, which is going to be absolutely huge. So that gap could be, reduced slightly. But yeah, I think they've saved themselves now. But Cagliari,
Cremonese Fiorentina is you don't want to miss that.
No, you don't. Even I don't want to miss that one.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we live for in the relegation race, and Lecce is watching that. But I just got to say, Zion Suzuki. Yeah, sorry, Zion. I'm sorry.
No.
How long are we going to have to watch this guy make these mistakes before we say, okay? He might not be a good enough player, a good enough goalkeeper at this level. Yeah, I mean, it's insane howlers now. Okay, he's been injured, he was rusty, but how many times have we seen him do these kinds of mistakes? What is that? What is he doing?
No. It wasn't a good weekend for the Zions at all. That's for sure. But I'm on fire today. I'm on absolute fire. I am. Come on, Nima, give it to me. I'm on fire today. I'm on fire. Right.
Fucking hell.
Right. Pisa 3, Cagliari 1, and Sassuolo 0, Bologna 1. Just a very quick point on Cagliari. Cagliari have to be careful because they're at risk of being. I think they'll be all right, but they're at risk of being dragged back into it because they're now 30 points. They're only 3 above Lecce, and they are 5 above Fiorentina and 6 above Cremonese, and those 2 teams have to play.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. Anyway. So, yeah, that's that. Champions League, very quickly. So, Bayern Munich 6, Atalanta 2. No, it's Atalanta 1. I don't know why I've written 2 on there. So, Bayern Munich 6, Atalanta 1, and Bayern are at home. Listen, it's all over. There's no. The only thing Atalanta have to play for is just to avoid the biggest aggregate defeat ever
of all time. Yeah,
which I'm not sure.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if Bayern don't score 4 or 5. Like seriously, like
it depends on Bayern. Actually, I'm gonna let me just Google what is the biggest.
I think Bayern Munich win this 13-2. Like they're at home
I think that
Bayern
might
as well.
actually was the biggest aggregate win in Champions League knockout history. So I'm not going to include the preliminaries because you'll get some furniture store that will have lost 20-0 or something. Right. What is the biggest aggregate win in Champions League history? It's Bayern Munich, 12-1 against Sporting Lisbon in the round.
Yeah, I think that could be in the risk here. Like
they won 5-0 away, and then they won 7-1 at home. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rule it out.
I wouldn't rule it out. But I mean, the one that I'm looking at, I mean, I don't really, there's not much to say. If Atalanta managed to do that, let me be clear, it's the biggest miracle in Italian football club history. If they beat Atalanta, if they beat Bayern Munich away 6-0 or by a 6 goal, like what are we even talking about? Like
if that happens, I've got 6 fingers. That's what I'm saying.
Like, come on, that's never going to happen. But yeah, Roma Bologna is going to be interesting. 1-1 after the first leg, as I said, it's at the Stadio Olimpico. I really hope Roma take this seriously, because nothing against Bologna, but I really think that Roma, out of Bologna and Roma have the best chance to actually win this thing and go the farthest. So I really, really hope Roma pull up and deliver. And Fiorentina have a 2-1 win away against. They're going away to Rakov Czestochowa. In the round of the last 16. We need Fiorentina to go far there as well, like at least a semi-final.
Yeah, lucky there, the last one, last minute penalty, last kick.
Hopefully, if they win against Cremonese tonight, they open up a 4-point gap down to Cremonese, and I think that gives them some breathing space.
Yeah, it means they might even be able to start going for the Conference League a little bit more as well. Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm just going to move you, for those of us watching on YouTube, just going to swap places there. So now we're gonna move on to Italy, and we're just going to answer a question that's been asked by a lot of our listeners, and that is, can Italy replace Iran at the 2026 World Cup? Nima, being Iranian, born in Iran, knowing the country better than most, I think you're the perfect guy to answer this question. So do you want to take it away?
Yeah, I mean, why is this even a discussion? Why might Iran not play at the World Cup? Well, Iran is already qualified for the World Cup, and they were drawn into the same group as Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand. However, given the war in the Middle East, where Iran was attacked by Israel and the United States, it does put their place at the World Cup in the United States, Mexico, and Canada in jeopardy, mainly because most of Iran's games are going to be all played in the United States. I mean, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, caused a lot of confusion and controversy by, on Thursday, putting on Truth Social that it's not appropriate, that Iran is welcome, but it's not, the Iranian football team is welcome, but it's not appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety, which is an insane thing for a president of any country to say when his country is hosting a tournament. That incredibly incendiary post came less than 48 to 72 hours after FIFA president and professional ass licker Gianni Infantino said that Trump told him in a meeting that the White House on Tuesday evening that Iran would be welcome at the World Cup. Hours later, Iran's Football Federation posted their response to Infantino and Trump on Instagram, saying that no one can exclude Iran's national team from the World Cup, and going on to suggest that the US should be removed as a host due to Trump's implicit threat. And of course, on Wednesday, Iran's sport minister, Ahmad Doniamali, told state media that Iran would not take part, saying that under no circumstances do we have the appropriate conditions to participate in the World Cup. The Iranian FA have not officially responded to that, other than saying that if the government doesn't want us to participate, we won't, but that's not really official. That's more of a throwaway comment. And also, it's not the sports minister that decides this, it's the FAs independently. So it's very important to say that Iran has not officially withdrawn, and FIFA is delaying a final decision while trying to keep Iran in the tournament. If Iran were to pull out, they could face huge fines, up to €500,000. they would maybe be forced to repay some of the funding FIFA handed out to them, and possible bans by FIFA from future tournaments, which is fantastic. It's very interesting, given which teams are banned and which teams are not.
Yeah.
So whether or not FIFA could remove Iran, I mean, the regulations are a little bit unclear. There's no like precedent either. I mean, the closest thing we come to is the 1992 European Championship, when UEFA replaced Yugoslavia 10 days before the tournament in Sweden after the United Nations imposed sanctions due to the war in the Balkans. And their replacement, Denmark, famously went on to win Euro 92 after the players were on holiday and brought back.
They were on the beach.
Yeah. Multiple sources at FIFA have told The Guardian that no decision on Iran's World Cup involvement has been made, and FIFA giving itself until its annual Congress in Vancouver on 30th of April to reach a conclusion. Their official position right now, as things stand, is that it wants Iran to take part. And Matthias Grafström, the General Secretary, said last week that our focus is to have a safe World Cup with everyone participating. FIFA statutes strictly mandate a political and religious neutrality, so it would do everything it can to avoid an Iranian withdrawal, and will certainly not want to be seen to have played a role in forcing them out, despite Infantino essentially living inside of Donald Trump's rectum currently and not in his house. FIFA, however, did ban Iran from taking part in the Asian qualifying competition for the 1986 World Cup after they refused to play home matches on neutral territory, which was a punishment for the refusal to play against Kuwait in qualifiers for the 82 tournament. Now, with regards to the rules of FIFA's own rules when it comes to replacing teams, a little bit vague in the sense that when it comes to teams that are qualified for the finals, it states the law state that it's FIFA's sole discretion to take whatever action is deemed necessary, and that it may decide to replace the participating member association in question with another association. The quotas are that UEFA or Europe has 16 teams, AFC Asia has 8 plus teams. The African Federation, CAF, has 9+ teams. CONMEBOL, CONCACAF have 6+ teams. And the Oceania OFC has 1+. Now, the plus, of course, depends on this playoff tournament that's being hosted in March. These allocations, of course, have been agreed in advance. And if a team withdraws, FIFA normally replaces it with another team from the same confederation to keep the balance intact. So if an AFC or Asian team drops out in Iran, the replacement should come from Asia. Now, who would most likely then replace Iran? I mean, Iraq are in the qualifiers. They're playing in this plus tournament, this tournament that's going to be played in the international break. I think they're probably the one that is most likely today. Yeah. Maybe United Arab Emirates. So I mean that's where we are. But the reason I think that it's important to discuss why is Italy being mentioned is, well, Italy is a major football nation, and Italy could fail to qualify through the UEFA playoffs. And Italy's already missed 2 World Cups. And FIFA will be definitely, they have the discretion to make that. And they don't want, FIFA cares only about money and high profile, maximizing their profits. And Italy would guarantee interest. Italy's a major country.
Yeah.
But Europe already has 16 allocated places. Giving Iran's spot to a European team would kind of break that quota system. So
if I just come in there, Nima, I mean, I would say, given everything you put out there, that it should be almost impossible for Italy to be given the spot of any team, whether it's Iran or anyone else that's not has to withdraw or gets thrown out. But look at everything that's happened politically within FIFA, outside of FIFA, it's America, it's Donald Trump. You know, international rules for anything in sport or in anything do not count anymore. It doesn't matter if something is legal or illegal.
Legal schmiegel. Yeah.
Anything could happen. So that's why I would say that yes, it seems very unlikely, but I wouldn't rule it out because there are.
I don't rule it out either, and I'll tell you why.
There are economic interests in play, and also there's
and
a lot
not
of
just
Italian
that.
Americans in.
And not just that. If you look at the World Cup group that Iran is in, it's with Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand, meaning that if Italy were given that group, they don't break the 2 European sides per group quota. So it'd be Italy, Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand. So I think that also speaks for if Italy fails, they would be let in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think that Infantino has become such a hypocrite as well. The precedents, there is no precedents that even if there was, it wouldn't matter. You know, again, I know Russia shouldn't be relevant, but it kind of is. You know, Russia were banned for what happened in Ukraine. Yet, you know, we're now seeing well, I'm not going to say similar situation because it's not a similar situation, but we're seeing Russia were banned for the so-called invasion of Ukraine, whereas, you know, the aggressor, and nobody argues over who the aggressor is here, really, is allowed to host the World Cup as well as take part. So I think precedents don't matter. I think it could be totally arbitrary, whatever Trump decides to do. I mean, the way I look at it, I mean, you'll know better than me. I don't see how Iran could play at this World Cup. I don't see whatever the outcome is of what's going on at the moment in the Middle East. I don't see, even if it's all settled and the war is over, I don't see how they can play. But what do you think?
There's no way. I don't see how Iran travels to the United States on the West Coast with the diaspora trash that exists on the West Coast of the United States, people who are currently in the streets celebrating the death and murder of Iranian children. I don't see how it'll be turned into an even bigger circus than it already is. That's one aspect. Another aspect is Iran is a nation in mourning. Even if Iran were to win the war tomorrow or today, the situation is very dire. Iran is a country whose infrastructure has been devastated on the back of 47 years of illegal unilateral sanctions. It's going to take years for Iran to recover. And from a cultural point of view, in Iran, when someone dies, we don't celebrate birthdays. We don't celebrate, like, for example, next week is the Persian New Year, the Iranian New Year, Nowruz. I don't know of any Iranian that is going to celebrate that. We're a nation in mourning. And football is a celebration. The World Cup is a celebration of football. And I just don't see
3 months isn't enough. I mean, it's not going to end today, obviously, but so it's going to be shorter.
It's not. I just don't. For me, I don't see it, and I don't. And to be honest with you, as I feel right now, I don't want them to. I really don't want them to. I just don't understand how they're going to go to that World Cup, and like it's just not feasible as things stand right now.
Who makes the decision then? Like, is it a decision that comes from Iran? Is it a mutual decision?
I think we'll see. I think we'll have to wait and see this international break. I think if Iraq makes it or doesn't make it, I think it depends on what happens at this conference, the FIFA conference. There's lots of angry federations inside all over the world that are pissed off with what's going on and are unhappy. talk of pulling out of the tournament altogether. I have to be honest with you, Carlo.
That's what I was going to ask you. That was my next question.
I'm not even certain this tournament gets played.
That's what's going to be my next question. Like, could we see other teams pulling out or withdrawing, and could the tournament be at risk in general?
I think the tournament as a whole is in risk right now, more than Iran, and I don't say that lightly. I think the signals I'm hearing from the various different FAs, the communication, the motions that are being filed, this is the way that Gianni Infantino and FIFA have behaved the last 1-2 years is I genuinely don't. I genuinely wonder how this is being. And also inside the United States, there are many organizations, grassroots organizations locally that do not want this World Cup to be played in the United States for other reasons, such as they don't feel that the infrastructure is there. I know there are local groups in Boston, for example, that haven't given a license for the games to be played at a certain stadium.
Shambles. The transport system, the transport system is not set up for the World Cup.
And also you have the same issue in Mexico as well, with safety concerns, with essentially a war between the state and the drug cartels. I hear the same thing from people in Toronto and Canada saying, how are we going to support this, because we don't have the infrastructure in place. Like, I genuinely wonder, like, leaving all the wars and politics aside, I'm talking from a strictly like structural, organizational point of view.
Oh, it's been shambolic. It has been.
I don't know. I really don't know.
You haven't even mentioned the prices.
I haven't even gotten to the ticketing prices.
Yeah.
I mean, this is genuinely one of the most poorly planned sporting events in history.
Yeah, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. I just, as an outsider, I just don't see. I mean, this war could easily still be going on, if not necessarily when the tournament is on, but let's say a month before the tournament is on, when final decisions have to be made on whether this tournament goes on or not. I don't see, if the war is ongoing, how can you play this tournament? Can we really play a tournament when there's a big regional war, and heaven forbid, who knows? Could it accelerate into something even worse than a regional war? Like, I don't see. I do.
And that's just the war. Think about like all the economical aspects.
The economic crisis is horrendous.
I mean, it's just I do not like. I have to be honest with you. I have a bigger question mark. Well, not bigger, but I have a big question mark surrounding this tournament as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. What a legacy, eh? What a legacy for Donald Trump. Let me just say that.
No, Gianni Infantino. Platini, Blatter, come back. Everything is forgiven. I mean, it's just, it's just unbelievable. It is unbelievable how Gianni Infantino has messed up here. I don't have any words.
No,
like this isn't even a political discussion.
Infantino's made Blatter look like the cleanest, the cleanest man on earth, doesn't he?
But it's the incompetence of it as well. Like it's just the sheer incompetence involved. Like, leaving aside all the politics, I just don't.
So the answer to your question is, it doesn't matter if Italy don't qualify. That's basically.
No, I really don't know what to say. Like, this is such a shit show. It's such a shit show at every level and turn, regardless of the geopolitics, the partisan politics, or any of that. It is just a shit show. And just to finish off this segment,
their other option there is, if it does go ahead, is they could just decide to run Group G with only 3 teams, which is unlikely, but it's possible. They don't have to solve. They don't have to, do anything, and that way they don't, There's.
I wonder if this tournament isn't moved I think honestly, I have nothing to suggest this.
Just give it to England. They get every single other tournament.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. I wouldn't be surprised, like, if behind the scenes, this isn't me reporting, this is just a feeling I've got, that they do have a contingency plan, that they just move the whole damn thing to Europe. Just quickly move it to Europe, and basically England, Germany, France, Spain, just because the infrastructure is there.
Well, yeah. It'd have to be somewhere that does have the infrastructure. Oh, what a mess. Okay, let's leave it at that. I'm going to move myself back to the left now. There we go. All right. My technical skills are not the best, but better than some, let me say that. Right, let's finish off with Baggio, Premface, and Serie ASS of the week. Okay, so Baggio. Right, I've got a few here. First of all, the Galatasaray tifo for Galatasaray fans tifo for Osimhen and his late mother, who died when Osimhen was a kid. We put that on our socials, so have a look at that on our socials. It was absolutely beautiful. Just brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah,
it just shows the good side of football. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to focus on negatives in the times like today, but that was just so beautiful, gorgeous. And while Italy's youngsters are continuing to struggle, there is one, Luca Reggiani, who scored his first senior goal for Borussia Dortmund at the weekend, and also beautiful scenes. His celebration, he was like he couldn't believe it. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
But above all, Vitinha's goal, Jesus, that's a candidate for goal of the season. What a rocket!
He's been playing well, He's been hitting. Well, he scored against Roma as well, didn't he? Yeah. Okay, Premface of the week.
Well, this is kind of connected to the Baggio of the week, because I think Martino Puccio, who is he's a journalist, he works and a content creator. He's worked for NBC, The Athletic, and so on. He's also he's a Milan fan, and he's also a huge a baseball fan, and so he made a because Italy is doing really well at the World Baseball Championships, and the reaction to that from many people about the Italian World Baseball team that beat the United States, beat Mexico, and are doing really well. He did a clip on that which I think was so good that I think he's part Baggio, but the people he's talking about and the ridiculous people and the criticisms and denigration of the Italian Americans and people with a mixed heritage was so spot on that I asked him to send the clip to us, and we're just going to play it, because I think he says it's only 2 minutes. So I'm just going to play it now, and then afterwards we can talk about it.
The discourse around the Italian baseball team at the World Baseball Classic is getting obnoxious online, and I can't stand it anymore. We see comments like this: is there a single player on the Italian baseball team that was born in Italy, or are they all just Italian-American dudes who have nonnas that cook a Sunday gravy for them? Spells nonna wrong. It's not even called gravy, it's sauce. No one in Italy calls it gravy. Then again, can we stop that Italy are getting good at baseball? The entire team is American guys, which is untrue. There's 3 Italians that were born in the country that play for the team. Then there's bullshit discriminatory comments like this about bro lives in America and he plays for a foreign country, but I'll never find that off-putting. It's anti-Italian discrimination, to quote Silvio Dante. There's a reason why guys like Joe DiMaggio were such massive heroes to Italian Americans, and especially Italians who migrated over here, because they found somebody that could help them assimilate to the culture, make them feel proud about who they are and where they came from. No, we're not talking about the Italian Americans that just cosplay and LARP and make fun of their heritage and don't actually embrace anything. This team at the World Baseball Classic is doing exactly that. Guys like Vinny Pasquantino, sure, it's a little cringe, a little corny doing the espresso shots all the time, but they're trying to embrace where they're from and how hard it was for their families when they came over to America. It honestly bothers me so much as a first-generation Italian American whose family came here in the 1970s. This is what it's all about. Keeping close to home, your traditions. It's not just about the 7 fishes on Christmas Eve. It's about being proud of who you are and where you came from, which is the whole point of America to begin with. So to slander people for representing where they came from, I take huge issue with it. I'm proud watching all these guys. I don't care what some of their last names are or if they were born in New Jersey or New York. They have Italian heritage, and that means their family came to America for a better life, and they did everything that they could to put themselves in a position for that. And now the players are giving back by spreading the joy of baseball, which plenty of young Italians over there would likely care about because they finally get exposed to something like this, something to be proud about, that the people who had to leave their country to search for a better life are choosing to play and represent for that country and performing very well. So miss me with that bullshit on who gets to play for where and who and when just because of where they were born. They're Italian in their blood. Let them play and shut up. And if you don't like it, then beat them.
Yeah, I saw the clip as well. I thought it was beautifully said, and it summed up the feelings of a lot of Italian Americans that I know that have had this kind of feeling of the way that they're treated and considered. And this is something that goes back a long way as well. I remember speaking to like Paulie Malignaggi about this a while ago, and he was saying that, you know, actually people don't know the history of the first Italian Americans that came over from Italy. We're talking back in the kind of like maybe 19th century or maybe late-ish 19th century, and the way that they were treated, like, you know, they went through a lot. You know, they were really treated like shit, you know, and I guess some of that kind of still is part of today in the way that they're viewed.
Everything Martino says is absolutely spot on, and it's not just true of just Italian Americans. It's true of anyone with a mixed heritage, with the background that we're talking about here, with the family history. I thought it's absolutely brilliantly put, eloquent, spot on. So well done, Martino, and shame on you, everyone else who people have behaved like the way that he describes. Shame on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Serie A of the week, we mentioned it before, and that was Rasmus Hojlund.
Well, no, I mean, it's not Rasmus Hojlund as such. I think what's so funny is he made a really shitty pun on, I think it's Instagram, or I'm not sure as if it's Twitter or Facebook. I can't see but it's some social media where he says, "Lecce us entertain you," and he's making like the biggest dad joke ever. And Avanti Lecce, this site, they took it as an attack, saying, "Lecce, we will entertain you," which is not what he's saying at all. So it's just Serie A all round. The dad joke to the bad English to all of it.
Rasmus Hojlund is a bit of a dad. Like, have you seen like the way that he dresses? Did you see him at the Napoli Halloween party? And he was just dressed in like these school trousers with school shoes. And one of the Napoli players like filmed him. And I can't remember who it was. They were just taking the piss. I think it was McTominay, like the way that he was dressed. It was pretty amusing. Yeah, he's a bit of a dad.
Meanwhile, he is. And meanwhile, he is. He's very young. And in the meanwhile, you've got Scott McTominay there, who's really adapted to the culture, if you put it that way. He's enjoying life in Naples. That's all I'm going to say. And he looks the part too. God bless.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, right. Let's leave it at that. So we will be back later in the week for the Q&A. We'll talk a little bit more about Italy national team, since by Thursday it will be 1 week away from the playoffs. Nima is not going to do a.
I'll tell you what. If Atalanta beat Bayern Munich by a 6-goal margin, I'll do a post-match reaction.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. It's never going to happen. So we'll see you on Thursday. Until then, have a great week. Ciao, ciao.